Bismillah Rahman Irahim. Happy Easter to all of you. We are here with the two heaviest hitters and Chris.
Hey, I thought, what are you talking about my weight for? I've been on a weight loss program.
They need no introduction. Everybody should know who they are. So Larry Johnson, Scott Ritter, a pleasure to both have you on. What a few days it's been. I don't know about you all, but I feel like my mind is melting with all of the news and misinformation, disinformation, which operation, who's getting who's lost, and it's just crazy. What is going on? Really? What's going on? Are we living through a psyop here? Like what's going on? It's one messaging after a different messaging and firing officials. And what do you think? Let's go to both of you right away. Let's start with Larry here. What are your thoughts? What's going on now?
The only thing we know for certain is the Pentagon is lying to us consistently and on a regular basis, or the SAL, the chief pig. I mean, because Secretary of War acronym SAL, so got to go for the pig humor.
I like it.
Sorry, I can't help myself. I'm still 14 at heart. Let's start with this so-called combat search and rescue for a downed pilot. The story just doesn't make sense as we're being told. The number one, it was flying out around Isfahan and goes down. The pilot managed to get picked up pretty quickly with one pave hawk. It's like a Black Hawk, especially designed for JSOC missions. But they couldn't find the other guy. He apparently landed, according to some information that's come out, like 5 miles northwest of this mountain that's in this that's right on the edge of this national park in Iran, the Kalal Ghazi, something like that. So he apparently made his way to the mountaintop and then put off his beacon. Now here's where it gets really interesting. So in the search for this one guy, and I've talked. I don't know what Scott's experience with CSAR is, but I've had the vicarious experience. One of the guys I worked with for over 20 years, he was the last Air Force 06 to command AFSOC up at Hurlburt Airfield, and he did a lot of CSAR, combat search and rescue, during Vietnam. So what we had going on yesterday was the most unusual combat search and rescue I've ever seen or heard of, because we got an A-10 out there, it gets shot down. The F-15 had already been shot down. Then you get a couple of Black Hawks, the Pave Hawks. They're shot and damaged and downed with crews. So each crew on those Pave Hawks, that's the 4 apiece. So instead of looking for one guy, now you got 2 more Black Hawks down, but somehow we don't have to do CSAR for them. Yeah, that makes sense. Then at the site where they recovered, where this guy was supposedly recovered, they had 2 C-130s that were on the deck, supposedly stuck. Now, the U.S. explanation is that they landed. They don't explain why they landed, but the most likely explanation is they were carrying fuel, or a FARP, which is a portable refueling capability, because those little birds, the little bird's range, they could get there, but then they can't get back. And the little bird is flown by the Task Force 160. So I don't know if there was a, in the build up to this, we've had the 160th units out of Hunter Army Airfield and also out of Fort Campbell that have deployed. So, and when the little bird comes in, if you've seen the movie Black Hawk Down, it's like the little helicopter, 2 pilots, and they've got, you can have four special operations guys, 2 on each side, sitting on the skids to jump off. So those 4 little birds mean you had a total of 20 personnel with them. Then with the 2 Pave Hawks, let's add in another 8, so we're up to 28. And all of this just to get one guy. Now, and why are those C-130s there? because the C-130 can also carry it can carry a lot more. The Pavehawks can carry about 10 combat loads, guys loaded for combat, plus 4 crewmen. The C-130, depending on how it's configured, it can carry up close to 180 troops, fully loaded. So I mean, it's just, was this actually a JSOC raid gone bad? Were they planning to hit Natanz and try to capture some material, whatever, and then in the course of this, things went wrong? Oh, there's something that's never happened in an attempted special operations mission in Iran. Never. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, that happened 46 years ago, and that always screw up. One of my good friends, he was a young Army Ranger on that mission. He led everyone on to Delta Force, was a sniper, but he was there when the helicopter collided with the 130. It killed 8, and we always say we leave no man behind. Well, we left 8 behind that day, two on the helicopter and 6 on the plane. So I'd be curious what Scott thinks.
What do you think?
Scott looks not happy.
No, I apologize for my look. I'm sick as a dog. I'm just not feeling good. So
we hope you feel better.
Yes.
But I have a little bit different take. The F-15E got shot down, and they implemented a standard CSAR mission, which is 2 Pavehawks with close air support attached to it. That's what the A-10s would have been. And the Pavehawks they didn't get shot down, but they were made combat ineffective. This often happens when you put helicopters in harm's way. And I believe that both Pavehawks were recovered to Kuwait. An A-10 that was providing close air support got shot down. Again, I think the pilot made it to Kuwait before the plane went down. He bailed out, so there's no need to rescue any of these people. But now we have a pilot. I think the CSAR guys got the first pilot out before they got riddled, and now we got the weapons officer out. Now they need a plan B. And this is where I think it gets interesting, because this operation that then went down was an airfield seizure operation. There were more than 100 people on the ground at this little airfield. It's 2 C-130s, each one with a complement of 2 AH and MH 6 Little Birds, so 4 aircraft, and a Ranger element that seizes the airfield, and you would also have Air Force, CCTs there. There's also rumors that this airfield had been previously surveyed by the Israelis, Shaldag and other units. You aren't going to land C-130s at an airfield that hasn't had eyes on the ground, and so just go back to Desert One. James Carney flying in with his little CIA aircraft, so he could go out there and do an airfield survey. So this airfield had been surveyed, but I think it had been surveyed by the Israelis back in June and hadn't been updated. But this is what was executed was, I believe, a Natanz raid reconfigured as true rescue. So the 2 C-130s come in. You now have Delta on. Well, they're saying SEALs. I'm not quite sure, which tier 1 organization was out there. But you've got 100 guys on the ground securing this airfield and launching this rescue mission. And they got to the guy. Another interesting thing that's going on in there is it is something I experienced in the Gulf War. The CIA apparently conducted an operation to recruit civilians on the ground who could provide safe haven for downed airmen. It's a program I know for a fact was done in Iraq because it also got involved in counter Scud. That's a different story. But we know that the CIA. I know the guy who ran it. I know the guy who ran the operation in Syria. I worked with him in Iraq a lot, and I know they did it in Syria. And it's understood that the CIA was doing the same thing there. So I don't know to what whether or not they made contact or they were being used for diversion purposes, but there was a CIA aspect of this operation taking place as well. But now the C-130s land, and apparently they get bogged down at the end of the runway. There's a photograph that shows 2 intact aircraft at the end of the runway. So they weren't shot down, they weren't crashed. They're there on the ground. Whether they had sustained battle damage is unknown at this point. But what is known is that they were on the ground. They discharged their 2 aircraft, their 4 AH and MH6 choppers, and they went out and they affected the pickup of this guy, brought him back. But now they can't get the aircraft unstuck, and so now the Iranians are closing in, and apparently they had to hunker down for 3 hours and have close air support. You had Reapers coming in; 2 of them got shot down. It's a big firefight. Maybe the C-130s are taking damage as well. We don't know the full story here. There may have been some casualties on the ground. See, I don't know if those holes are from when the C-130s are on the ground, because apparently there was a firefight. There was contact made, weapon fire exchange. In the end, they couldn't get the C-130s out. So then they turned to a very secret Air Force Special Operations unit. I forget the 475th Squadron or something of that nature. And they fly a C-295W or something of this nature. It's a commercial airline converted, but these aircraft exist to do clandestine infiltrations and extractions of U.S. Special Operations, CIA paramilitaries, etc. And they fly 3 of those in. They pick up the people on the ground, including the pilot, and then the Tier 1 guys on the way out thermite the hell out of the C-130s and the H-64s, and you have 3 short takeoff and landing aircraft pull out and get people out. That appears to be the what I believe happened. I don't know if we left a body on the ground. I mean, that would be stupid to deny it and then have the body show up. I know what the bodies look like in Desert One, and that's not what they look like. But so I don't know if that's just melting steel that came down in the form of a that looked like a skull or whatever. Who knows? I'm not there yet. But to me, the most important thing is that we compromised the raid, the JSOC raid that would have been used to go against Iran's nuclear material. There was talk that we knew where it was and that there was a chance that JSOC could go in there and try and seize this material. And I think we compromised that raid. So in order to rescue this guy, we didn't just lose a bunch of assets, but we compromised a raid, a pre-planned raid, et cetera. So that's where I'm at. I mean, look, somebody who was an air crewman and who's been to SEER training, I'm thrilled to death that the United States went in and got this guy. I mean, we can disagree with the war. Anybody who knows me knows that I despise this war. I view it as an illegal war of aggression. I think we should never be involved in there, but I will never turn my back on the men and women who serve. And this guy went down, and our country went in and got him, and that's a good thing. And people are saying, well, we sacrificed so much. Again, I mean, it's been popularized. Bat 21 is a movie, Gene Hackman. The amount of resources that were expended trying to rescue him in Vietnam. The Vietnam War is full of stories of downed airmen, and we're losing 5, 6, 7 aircraft to try and get that guy. We're killing 4 or 5 pilots, losing 3 more as prisoners of war to get one guy. This is just what we do. This is the pact that's made to people. Now, we don't always keep it. Maybe we'll talk about it later on, but we're getting ready. Some people talk about maybe the Marines are going into Carg Island. And I always bring up Koh Tang Island, May 1975, when a Marine Battalion landing team did a vertical envelopment of an island supposedly held by 30 to 50 Khmer Rouge. It ended up being 300 to 500. We got our asses handed to us. They shot down almost every helicopter we had. Many dead on the ground. We abandoned these dead. Worse, because we left at night in panic because we were in danger of being overrun. We left 3 Marines and them 60 team on the island, and they were captured and executed by the Khmer Rouge. We have to be careful here because we don't have a perfect track record of bringing everybody back. As Larry pointed out, we left 8 behind in Desert One, and we left a whole bunch on Koh Tang Island, and who knows how this war ends. But this was I think this mission was far more costly than people possibly know, because if there was going to be a JSOC mission to go after the nuclear deal, it was just compromised, and those things are planned and well in advance. They train on this thing, and it's gone. There's no plan B, I don't believe.
So both of you would agree that there is some level of preparation and planning going into seizing the nuclear material in Iran.
Yeah.
There was an article from the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, which connected with the Federation of American Scientists. They do a lot of great work over the past decades, and they put out an article just a few days ago saying that satellite imagery from last summer shows a truck with blue containers at the site before the 12-day war. And they're wondering if that is possibly some or all of the highly enriched uranium leaving the site that it was supposedly at when it was bombed, but prior to that, and going to a site that is unknown, at least unknown to us, unknown to the public, might be known to intelligence services amongst themselves, but we don't know where it's at. I'm wondering what you think of that. Is the nuclear material underground? Is it moved? What's your sort of and is the U.S. going to go after it? Is this like part of the plan of this operation?
Yeah, well, A, I don't know where it is. B, I'm sure Iran has taken steps to protect it, and if anything, not to concentrate it in one location. I did 20 years ago. I was involved with an exercise, with a scripting of an exercise to do something like this, to go into Iran to attack what was called a hardened, deeply buried target, an HDBT, and to take possession of nuclear material. Now, as I recall, the what we learned, or were supposed to, I say they call them lessons learned, but the reality is few people learn anything from them. But the lesson learned was don't do it. It was too costly, too risky. And Scott and I are thinking along the same lines about that. This operation, whatever happened, what role the F-15 was playing as part of a broader operation to conduct that raid. Something went wrong, and whatever plan you had went down the toilet. What I'm still not clear on is how the hell, if they used one of the Dash 8s, basically is the plane that I think Scott was talking about. How the hell they got the people in there and out? Because you think if you've located the pilot and he's up on a mountain, why don't you just land the helicopter up there, hover? A PJ goes down in a harness, grabs him, and hauls him off. Instead, because I don't know what those 2 C-130s were doing. It is conventionally, like a Ranger, not quite a company size, would be on one of those, could be on one of those planes, as Scott said, to seize an airfield. I was involved with exercises like that, and they'd be landing as the plane's landing, the back deck drops, and guys come riding out on motorcycles. So I've seen that. And when we scripted all these exercises for JSOC, we always had to have an airfield seizure for the Rangers. That's what they do. But we don't really have a good idea of how many people were out there just to recover one guy, and then why you felt the need to secure the airfield. And did were were the little birds flown out there on the 130?
Yeah, that's the theory.
Or did they fly out there? You know, they had the legs. If they flew from Kuwait, they could get there, but getting back, they couldn't get back unless they got refueled.
Mhm.
So maybe that was what the 130. So it's still not clear to me. But listen, this was not just, you know, the clown show at the circus. This was the whole damn circus. You know, you had the elephants and the lions and tigers and the acrobats and the clowns. So, but the story we're getting fed is not the truth.
What do you think, Scott?
Well, first of all, Iran has said, and I have this from the horse's mouth, meaning the Iranian president. I'm not calling him a horse. That was just I don't want my good friend Professor Morandi to be mad at me. I have to be careful what I say because this is a politically charged environment. But the Iranian president and the foreign minister Araghchi were quite emphatic in September of last year during the United Nations General Assembly. They had a sidebar meeting with several journalists and such. And I was able to ask specific questions about their ballistic missile program and their nuclear program. And they were emphatic that the ballistic missile program represented Iran's strategic deterrence. And for all the people out there, I'm probably going to irritate so many, but I don't care. Iran will never develop a nuclear bomb as long as their current president is president and their current foreign minister is foreign minister. The president holds a lot of power in Iran. People need to also understand that the Constitution imbues him with significant authority. He is, of course, the head of the National Security Council, and he says they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They don't want one. It's bad for them. It would be counterproductive. That they're winning with these ballistic missiles, and they are. The ballistic missiles are killing, they're destroying the American bases. They're humiliating Israel, and they're there. They're getting better every day. But they said, and that the 60% enriched uranium was designed to give them leverage at the negotiating table. It was to make the United States stand up and take notice, because it was, sort of that last final legal step that you could take before you get to, highly enriched, fissile material. So when they started their negotiation, and because there's a lot of speculation that we sealed this stuff up in the 12-day war, that Israel sealed it in, that it's all in, or they moved it, they hid it, who knows what they did to it. The Iranian negotiators told Steve Witkoff at the beginning of the negotiations that led up to this conflict that Iran had 460 or so kilograms of uranium hexafluoride enriched to 60%. Now, what's interesting in that because they were going to put it on the table, they said we're going to give it up. You're going to be able to verify this with American inspectors, by the way. That means that they hadn't done anything to it. So all the people that are saying that after the 12-day war, Iran was going nuclear, that they were going to get on the cut, they were going to build these secret nuclear weapons, it's bullshit. Because Iran said, we got it all, and we're ready to give it to you. And so we need to understand that. And that was before this war began. That means Iran knows where it is and can account for it all. So any notion that it's hidden inside some blown-out bunker is bunk. The other thing is that because it is leverage, the question of whether or not they would put all their eggs in one basket is another one. There are several containers involved in this 450 kilogram or 60 kilogram, and they may very well have sent them to different. But here's the thing: Zarif, the former foreign minister, just published an article in Foreign Affairs where he pretty much made the same deal. Said it's all there. We'll put it all in. We'll downgrade. You're not, and Zarif, although he's not in government, you don't publish that article in Foreign Affairs unless you were greenlit by the Iranian government. I know they've distanced and said that's him talking, not us, but it was a message sent by Iran to the United States and the world about where Iran stands in terms of a potential off-ramp. And again, the totality of this material was put forward. So all the people that are out there saying, Iran's already built the nukes, they're there, they're ready to go, oh, Israel, beware. You don't know what you're talking about. The Iranians aren't going to build nuclear weapons. They don't want to build nuclear weapons. And the totality of the material is still in their possession. They're willing to put it on the table and say, we will verify its existence. So that means it exists someplace. I also believe it means that we don't know where it is. And so maybe this pilot was a blessing in disguise. Because if you wanted to see an operation go really bad, really fast, imagine if they had launched that raid. And instead of going to pick up a pilot, you now have Delta trying to do a forcible entry. There's a guy named Mess Sergeant Vining. He's retired Delta guy, EOD guy. He's considered to be, legendary in Delta Force. But during the Gulf War, he had a mission that was never executed, but it was to go to Taji, to one of these hardened bunkers where we believe that Saddam had control for the Scud launches located. And Delta and some Rangers were going to go in there. They do the same thing over and over again. I'm not giving away secrets here. I'm just telling you that there's nothing innovative about what these people do. They land, they get on helicopters, they fly to a place, and they execute a raid with great violence. That's what they do. And so they were going to land in Taji in the middle of an Iraqi military facility, seize the territory around this bunker. And then Vining was going to go in there and blow the door off. He's an EOD specialist. Blow the door off, get in there, and blow the site, and then get out. I think that had he done that, he'd be dead today, because I know Taji and I know who was in Taji, and no matter how audacious you are with your application of force, there's only so much you can do when confronted by a lot of people who have weapons. Delta's not immune to dying. Bullets do strike them in the head and they do die. And I think that we could have very well sent these SEALs, who are also trained in a similar fashion, to their deaths. And so in a way, this reimagining of this raid as a rescue mission may have saved a whole bunch of lives, because I think this was a pre-planned package to go into a place where, Tulsi Gabbard said, we have an idea where it is. Tulsi, you don't. Trust me, you don't. Call me. You just don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't have said that in public air. You would have said, I'll talk to you in closed session, because then you would have had really secret information. But if you're speculating that you have it in public, it means it's analysis and it's crap. You don't know where it is. And you would have killed a lot of Americans on this raid. Was that F-15E the beginning of this raid? Because Larry, you know this. I mean, these guys were staged. They were rehearsed. They were ready. They didn't make this up overnight. They didn't go, oh my God, they bring in a couple C-130s, bring in a couple SEALs. Hey, do we got 4 AH-6s around here? So yeah, bring them into, do we have an airfield? Yeah, has it been surveyed? Yeah. Okay, let's go. They had a plan ready to go. This was a package. This was a raid package. It was specifically designed to go to that airfield, and where that's near Isfahan. They were going to go in, because the rumor is somewhere around Isfahan, they were going to go in and launch a raid to grab this nuclear material. And what happened is when the Payhawks got riddled, they didn't have a plan B, and Trump was like, we're not losing that pilot. And so somebody made the decision to convert this. Maybe it was a raid already underway. We don't know what that F-15E was doing in that area.
Yeah, and let me just add in one other thing, because I got a note from a retired JSOC senior officer who's a friend of mine. His opening line, he goes, "Sorry, but the White House DoD CENTCOM story of a CSAR for a colonel in the back seat when a lieutenant or captain belongs there does not pan out." And I hadn't realized until he sent it that it was an 06. It was
06.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, which means he's not a WSO.
Right.
Or like command post or something of that nature. Again, there's just a lot more to this story that goes. And of course, they're not going to want to talk about it. As soon as you start talking about JSOC, but they gave away the farm.
Yeah. I mean,
we know everything. To be honest, if you know anything about JSOC and how it operates, all the evidence is there and the dots are there, and you just connect the dots and you go, that was a raid against a nuclear site that got prematurely activated or got redesignated as a CSAR mission. But was it a CSAR? Because was it standard CSAR? Again, Larry, you bring up why was this kernel so valuable?
Yeah.
Why would they? Because this kernel could not be allowed to fall into the hands of the Iranians. This kernel isn't your standard. This isn't Major Tom Griffith. Major Tom Griffith was the weapons officer for Colonel David Everly. F-15E shot down January 19th, I believe, over Al-Qaim in Iraq. And that's a CSAR operation I'm very familiar with. I know the people who did it. I know this, like I said, I know the CIA team that ran the HUMINT on the ground. I know the Air Force special operator who flew out of Batman near Diyarbakir, flew the mission into Al-Qaim. He didn't fly it, he was on it. He's the combat controller that would get off and search the ground. I know all those guys, and I talked to them about this. That's what a normal combat search and rescue mission looks like. Today they've upgraded. They've got the Pavehawks and all that. This is something else. This isn't a combat search and rescue. This is a JSOC raid, a prepackaged, pre-planned raid that went bad. And again, the fact that they had to grab this kernel may have saved a whole bunch of lives because, as you saw, this thing was snake bit from the start. I mean, I just want to know who did the airfield survey because
probably the Israelis.
Well, you're right, but when? I think it was Shaldog. They talked about it. They say at Matkal, but Matkal doesn't do airfield surveys. Shaldog does airfield surveys, and but when did they do it? And why again are we? Why is JSOC relying on Israeli? You never do that. You always do it yourself. Mm-hmm. This is why we sent Dick Meadows into Tehran in advance because JSOC didn't trust the CIA's intelligence. They had to get their own guys. That's why they get Scotty and Clem out of Berlin and with them. This is why Fred, the Air Force airman who later on became one of the best warrant officer pilots for Task Force 160. He flew with me in Iraq. Great guy, Fred Barnes, but his last name is. This is why they did that. You would never, ever, or you should never let the Israelis do anything for you. You should have your own people on the ground, which tells me that this was a raid prematurely triggered, meaning that I can say with almost absolute certainty, if this was the real raid, we would have not have gone in unless we had for instance, one of the C-295s fly in with a Air Force combat control team that would have landed. They would have come out on their little buggies, gone out there, done the tests on the soil, compression, put out their little beacons and lights, and then get the hell out of there. And then the C-130s come in and they trigger it, ding, 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 lights come on, they land, boom, Rangers come out, sees the airfield, helicopters come off they go and do their thing. The fact that they landed on this airfield and they got bogged down, that is a failure. That shows me that this was prematurely triggered, that we went in with old intelligence about this airfield. The Israelis said, oh yeah, we've surveyed this airfield, it could be used. So we made that planning. But we needed to get guys on the ground to do this, and we didn't. We relied on outdated stuff, and like I said, thank God, we got the guy out, yay team. But also that we didn't try this raid because we would have hit an empty target, and we would have lost everybody on this raid. We would have lost the entire raid team, and we would have lost because now we would have had C-130s bogged down on the ground, and Anyways, that's my take. I don't know.
Will the U.S. attempt it again? Do you think? Okay, maybe not the same. Obviously, not the same location, but will they attempt another raid on this material? You think?
Who knows?
Yeah.
These are very. We have a finite number of people. To do a raid like this. There's an airfield outside of Las Vegas. There's another airfield in Arizona where they do these rehearsals. And so they would have rehearsed this over and over again. All the timing is down. It's all supposed to be precision guided timing. And this is a lot of resource. Now, I don't think there. I think this was it. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't go back and try and gin something up. But I don't think, given the amount of preparation that's required to do something like this, you just don't have. Oh, we got any more guys out there want to go out and play a hero?
No.
Yeah, I mean, look, they started moving. Again, this was all open source. The guy someone on X is called the Intel Frog. Apparently, they were putting out the flight logs of the C-17s, and he put it out, and he had it like from March 12th through when I first saw it was like March 28th or 28th, 29th. Anyway, up to that point, there'd been 35 flights and 11 more planned. And I started looking at it, and they're all Hunter Army Airfield, Joint Base Lewis McChord, Oceana Naval Air Station, the Pope Army Airfield, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. There's basically those 5. Those are all JSOC elements. Those are you've got Pope Army Airfield has the 82nd as well. But when you looked at the number of aircraft, it was you barely had enough to move a battalion. So one battalion out of the 82nd, but the rest were geared towards hauling Rangers, hauling the Little Birds, the 160th, the Pave Hawks, personnel that fly them, Delta, SEAL Team 6. So something was afoot, and they've been on the ground there now for about 2 weeks in some cases, but the flights continued. The flights were continuing up through Monday, last Monday. I guess a week ago, last Wednesday. So they've had a lot of flights and moving a lot of personnel and all these people getting in position. The question is for what? And whatever happened there on Friday, this was not your conventional, oh my God, we've had a plane shot down, we need to recover the pilot. This had a lot more moving pieces to it.
Right. And on that topic still, while the raid or the rescue mission or whatever you'd like to call it was going, Iran started striking the staging base in Kuwait. What do you guys have any thoughts on that? Or is that gone as a staging ground? And how does this affect the United States, I guess, mission, for lack of a better word, going forward?
Well, what's the mission?
That's what I said. Mission's doing a lot of heavy lifting. But
could somebody define for me what the hell we're trying to do? Other than what we've accomplished so far is given the Iranians a good reason to rid the Persian Gulf of U.S. military presence and to grab the world by the economic balls and hold it in a chokehold. Where now Iran actually gets to dictate the price of oil, among other things, and forcing many countries in the rest of the world that wanted to ignore Iran, now they got to pay attention to them and they got to listen to them, because Iran really does hold their economic fate in their hands. And there's some great spillover effect from this. We saw the Japanese, who had gone along with all the Western sanctions against Russia, contacted the Russians, said, hey, we're willing to overlook those sanctions now. We'll buy oil from you. Of course, at $47 a barrel. And the Russians went, yeah, yeah, that ain't happening. Tell you what, the honorable Japanese, you want to buy our oil? You can start by lifting the sanctions that you've imposed upon us. You lift all the sanctions, and then you pay full freight. Otherwise, don't even think about coming for a visit. So this, the spillover effect, it's having global consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Yeah, anybody thinks, all the countries that turned their back on Russia because the United States was starting these secondary sanctions, even though Russia had given them steeply discounted, contracts that Russia would have complied with. The thing about the Russians, when they sign a contract, it's a contract. And it's forever as long as you comply. But the second you break it, the contract's no good. But it's like the Indians going, "Hey, we'd like to buy that oil again. What was that price? $23 a barrel?" The Russians are going, "We got the oil, but it ain't $23 a barrel. It's what was the spot price on that one? Yeah, you're going to give us about $88 right now." And
actually, it went from 47 to 97.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, literally doubling your rate. But about Kuwait and all that, again, it's a statement of the obvious. JSOC is not very innovative. They think they are, but they're not. That Kuwait forward operating base has been in use since the 1990s. When I sent teams into Iraq, JSOC would deploy. We had JSOC guys on our team with rescue beacons just in case, because we always anticipated being taken hostage. And if we were, then the boys out of Kuwait, who oftentimes pre-deployed into Iraq in a hide site, would swoop in and hopefully rescue us. But they always flew out of Kuwait. When the Australian SAS went in there, they went to Kuwait. Same place, same building, same facility. And they've been doing it over, and the Iranians know this. So now, as Larry said, it wasn't a secret. I'm not giving away anything here. We had a whole bunch of stuff flowing from bases affiliated with JSOC specific units. And where do they go? Kuwait. And because that's where they go. That's what they do. There's nothing innovative here. I have to tell you, if I were the one planning this, I would have said, we're going to do a diversion into Kuwait. We're going to have a bunch of guys running around pretending to be doing what we're doing, but we're going someplace else, someplace nobody would ever expect us to be, someplace that the Iranians would have a hard time finding us on satellite imagery because they'd have to go into scan mode. But no, we're going to make it easy for them. We're going to deploy the aircraft land, stuff comes in, and now we launched the raid. They know this. The first thing they do is they strike the base while the mission is ongoing. Now, if you know anything about these JSOC boys, their forward operating bases are like home. They lift weights, they eat food, they have R&R. I mean, not R&R like that, but it's not a combat location. They're not meant to be mortared. They're supposed to be able to plan this mission and carry it out in near perfect conditions. So in the middle of the operation, there's a command center there where the JSOC commander is trying to, now he's got stuff happening. He's on the radio. He's talking. They're going back. There's also boom, 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 boom. You disrupt command and control. It's a genius move on the part of the Iranians. And who knows, if there was a follow-on echelon, you could disrupt that as well. The Iranians are outthinking us across the board. The fact that the Iranians were able to ascertain early on what was going on, who was doing what, where they were coming from, and immediately put fire on the target, should be a sign to everybody that we're not in control of this ship. This ship, that movie with Tom Hanks where he played the captain that got kidnapped by the Somalis. Who's in charge? I am in charge. The Iranians are doing right now. They're just slapping his face going, I am in charge. There's no Navy SEAL to shoot the guy in the head because the Iranians are in charge. We need to know, the people need to listen. We have been reacting to the Iranians since day one. Now, we started day one with this, but remember, the Iranians have been planning this war for 20 years. So we think that we were initiating something, and therefore the OODA loop is in our favor. We're acting, they're reacting. No. We were reacting, they were ready. Their action was to be ready. When we acted, it's what they wanted us to do. And then they immediately turned the tables and start doing things that Trump said we never expected them to do. And we've been playing catch up ever since. Every aspect of this war is being driven by Iran to include what's happening with air defense right now. The reason why we were doing what we did is because A, we had standoff weapons, and B, Iran went underground. Now that we've expended our standoff weapons, we have to bring our assets in closer. The Iranian air defense is coming out, and they're changing the game. Our entire suppression of enemy air defense tactics are built around anti-radar. That's what we do. We fly in, we generate radar, harm missiles get fired, we suppress, and we move on. And the Iranians are going, well, we're not using radar. We're using electro-optical guidance and a lot of IR, advanced IR technology. And this is why we're losing aircraft, because we're flying into a situation thinking there's one set of rules taking place and there's another set of rules taking place. Iran is contested airspace, and that's another reality that, when Donald Trump says we're going to bomb you into the Stone Age, no, you're not. But the other thing is you're going to lose more aircraft because the Iranians are in charge. They're in charge, not us.
Absolutely. One thing I got to ask you both, and it's important to me. So I fought in Syria 2017 with the Kurds, worked with the Russian forces, worked with SAA going into Raqqa. And one thing that was noteworthy was we had weapons from the stockpile of the government in Damascus. We had them from the Russians, and we had them from the West, from the Americans. And one thing that's come out over the past few years is that clearly what we've known all along, even though we were called conspiracy theorists, what we would say is that the US was arming the Iranian opposition through the Kurds in northern Iraq. So they were using those routes, especially when you get from Erbil to Suleimania, then the border there, they're sending them all across the border and arming the opposition and arming the Kurds, especially the Pejak, Komala, KDPI, all of the opposition groups. And we have a clip that seems to confirm it. Let's see if we can pull that up here. Have it.
Now, the president also provided new details on what happened earlier this year as the Iranian regime took to the streets and slaughtered what the president tells me is 45,000 civilians in their own country. After that took place, President Trump told me the United States sent guns to the Iranian protesters. He tells me we sent them a lot of guns. We sent them through the Kurds, and the president says he thinks the Kurds kept them. He went on to say we sent guns to the protesters, a lot of them. And so a number of headlines here from my conversation with President Trump.
Their faces.
They protested.
Thank you.
Now, basically, he's admitted what the Iranians said. These weren't protesters.
Yeah.
These were armed thugs working on behalf of Mossad and the United States government. Thank you, Donald Trump.
Yep. We know the truth.
Well, now that we're on the topic of Donald Trump, let's talk about his unhinged behavior today. While I still have you both, we have this. I think this came after the Easter miracle tweet about rescuing the pilots. This is the one following that. Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. And then inexplicably, praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump. And then he tweeted maybe a few hours later, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Who made Trump Muslim? Number one. They scrambled his brain so much he's turned into a Muslim. But we've extended the deadline again, another 24 hours, might even be 36. And now we're talking about power plants and bridges.
Yeah, no, he's lost it. In fact, let me give my brief input. I've got to bail. I got another 5 o'clock.
Totally fine. You're totally fine. I know Scott's not feeling well either. So,
but Trump has accomplished something with this comment. He's even got MAGA supporters going, "What the hell?
Yeah,
what's wrong with this guy?"
Yeah, on Easter.
On Easter of all things. He might have gotten away with it if he would have said, "Praise Jesus," but praise Allah. It's like, okay, he suffered a ischemic accident. So that's
a big word, Larry.
Yeah, also known as the TIA.
Thank you so much, Larry. We'll let you go to your next interview. We'll keep Scott for a little bit longer, and then we'll sign off with him as well. Happy Easter, Larry.
Yeah, happy Easter to all. And Scott, get better, brother. We'll talk
Yeah,
to
I
you.
feel better.
Nice shirt. I have one upstairs. I just
Yeah, come on.
forgot to wear it.
I mean, you live in.
we were wearing our
This is a-
Easter Hawaiian shirts.
This is a requirement in Florida. I just follow the law.
Oh, Larry, the audience wants to know where you're headed. What show?
RT.
RT. There you go, guys. RT.
Okay.
Thank you again, Larry. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Larry.
Scott, I know you're not feeling well. We promised you an hour. So do you have any closing thoughts?
I would just say again that this posting on the part of the president has to be taken seriously. I've always said that you need to study Trump very carefully, and that one of the best vehicles for studying his behavior is The Apprentice, and how he manipulates people, the psychological games he plays. But more importantly, it's a vehicle of narcissism. It's all about him, Donald Trump. He's the star. No one else in the show is the star. Only Donald Trump is the star, and only Donald Trump can be the star. And so now we have this war that's going badly, very badly. And Donald Trump is humiliated by this, and he's becoming increasingly frustrated. And you see the inconsistencies of his statements as he goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. This last statement, frankly speaking, should automatically qualify him to be removed as unable to continue in office. This is clinical insanity. The 25th Amendment should be invoked. J.D. Vance should be calling people in saying, we got to stop this right now. We got to pull the plug. This guy is unhinged. But what it shows is that Trump is in a panic. This is a president who is panicked. He doesn't know what to do. And so what he does is he falls back on what he's done his entire life: bully people, threaten people, seek to intimidate people. But the bad news is for Donald Trump, Iran's not in the intimidation mode. He made a fateful and perhaps fatal mistake in seeking regime change. You don't regime change a nation with 5,000 years of cultural heritage. These people are proud of who they are. There was an amazing video I watched of, they have checkpoints throughout the various towns, Tehran and other cities, where people hand out sweets and they support one. And there was a girl there who was dressed in your standard hijab mode. She said, look, she had been arrested by the morality police just the other day, and they gave her options, option A, option B, option C. And she chose a fine. And they said, if you do this again, we'll fine you again. And she's like, well, but she said, that's between me and them. I have my thing, they have their thing, but together we're Iranians. And that's why I'm here today. I'm at this checkpoint because I want to help my country. I believe in my people. And someone said, but what if they keep bombing you? She said, keep bombing us. But what if you die? Then we die, but we die heroes. We die martyrs to the cause. And this is what Americans don't understand. See, we don't want to die in America. We don't want to be martyrs. We want to live. We want to, we're looking forward to the next holiday, the next, Xbox upgrade, the things that make our life important. For Iranians, what makes their life important is Iran. And their faith. They are faithful. And she is faithful. This girl that wasn't going to wear the hijab, she had her scarf over her head, is dutiful.
She took a kofia. Yeah, it was a kofia.
But she is faithful. And these are, again, I just tell Americans, if you don't know who Ali is, if you don't know who Hassan is, or Hussein is, or what Karbala is, then this is why we're losing. Because then you don't understand what it means to be a 12er faction Shia, and what martyrdom means. They're not suicidal, but these are people who will be willing to die for their cause, for their faith, for their family. Ali died for his family. I mean, many say that the last charge that he did in Karbala was to create a diversion so his family could get away. He committed the ultimate sacrifice. And this is what these people believe in. And so Trump doesn't understand. First of all, you're not going to bomb Iran into the Stone Age. These are the most civilized people in the world. I mean, they make Americans, I'm sorry, I know the Americans will get upset when you hear this, but we're pathetic in comparison. We're so shallow culturally. These people are well-read, well-educated, better educated than we are. There's a reason why they make missiles that work, and we don't. Because they're smart. When I was investigating the Iranian nuclear program back in the mid 2000s, I spoke with several IAEA weapons inspectors who had been on the ground in Iran, and we're talking about the foundation of knowledge. He said, Scott, these guys are good. They have the highest percentage of peer-reviewed PhD thesis globally, meaning it's not done internally. They write their PhD thesis and they're out there. And the reason why I knew that is that the IAEA was going around pulling in these PhD theses on nuclear physics going, these guys know everything. They've solved every problem. There's nothing they don't know. Wait, they actually know more than we do. This guy actually is doing things that we're not doing at Lawrence Livermore. He said, these guys are really, really smart and really, really good. And it's not just about nuclear, it's about everything and their culture. Morandi, Mohammed Morandi, he's a good friend of mine. Christopher, you know this. We met, we saw him in Moscow in October. I had the honor and privilege of spending the day with this man as we toured Moscow. We went to St. Basil's Cathedral. He is soft-spoken, intelligent, warm-hearted. He's the real deal. He doesn't posture one way in public and do something in private. And at the end of the day, we were approached by Stanislav Krapowski. I butchered it. Stan, again, I apologize.
Stanny.
We love him.
We love him.
But Stan was like, hey, let's go out. And Professor Morandi was like, sure, I'll come out with you. But as it became apparent that we were going to a bar, he bowed out. He said, I really would love to spend time with you guys, but I don't want to be the one interfering. But I can't go to a bar. It's just not my faith. I'm pulling back. And no, the man's the real deal. He's smart, but his faith is genuine, and it impact. He's not one of these guys. I've hung out with pious Muslims who are pious when they're in the Muslim homeland, but when they get out, they're anything but pious. Morandi was the real deal, and I believe the Iranians are the real deal, and we need to understand and respect that. We've tried to bomb Germany into the Stone Age, didn't work. We tried to bomb Japan in the Stone Age, didn't work. We did a lot of damage, we inflicted a lot of harm. But the thing the Americans also have to understand is when the president makes these statements, he is basically stating the intent to commit a war crime. Mm-hmm. And this is what every American has to understand. We are already a war criminal nation. We have engaged in an illegal war of aggression. War of aggression is the greatest war crime. That's what Justice Jackson said at the Nuremberg trials. From this crime, all other crimes are committed. So everything we're doing in Iran today is a crime. There's no legal justification for anything that we're doing. All of it is criminal. And now he's compounding it by saying that I'm going to strike power plants. Now people say, Scott, dual use. Hey guys, we're 37 days into this war? If this was the primary military related target, we would have already bombed it. The fact that we bombed it means it's on a do not bomb list because it's a civilian site. It provides energy for civilians. The bridges are not critical lines of communication for the transportation of military related equipment. Those would have been dropped early on. Instead, these are civilian bridges, just like, the Golden Gate Bridge. You're going to tell me that's a strategic military target? You're going to tell me the Tappan Zee Bridge is? No, we're getting ready to commit war crimes. And this president is telegraphing this. And again, this is where the 25th Amendment, this is a time when J.D. Vance needs to assemble the cabinet and say, we have to shut this thing down. This man is a disgrace to America. He's out of control. He's incapable of governing, because you can't say that you're governing if mechanism of government is an outright violation of not just international law, but constitutional law.
Absolutely. Spot on there. Spot on.
I do have another clip from Trey. This is about the blowing up of the power plants. Let's see. He's quoting Trump, who I don't believe he's quoting, but whatever.
And he told me on the phone that as he was trying to get a deal, the Iranians were trying to push off the negotiating timeline, saying next Tuesday we'll meet, for example. And the president said, no, next hour. because this is a president who wanted to get a deal. He wants to get the job finished. And ultimately, the Iranians were trying to stretch out that negotiating timeline, and the president ordered the strike against this critical infrastructure in Iran, again, to send a message that the United States is not playing games on the battlefield or at the negotiating table. And so the sense that I got from President Trump is that he is very serious as it relates to these threats against the Iranian regime when it comes to their unwillingness to make a good faith agreement, despite the fact that the president has given them multiple off-ramps. And again, he tells me that he ideally will take Iranian oil if they are unwilling to make an agreement. And so that is a major development in this conflict. And the president making very clear in his post on Truth Social that Iranian power and energy infrastructure will be targeted in the days ahead if Iran doesn't make a deal tomorrow.
Based on your
Fox News Live from Narnia.
Yeah, first of all, what world does this president live in where he believes that he can dictate any outcome to the Iranians? The Iranians are in charge. The president doesn't like this, so he's trying to, bully his way in. The Iranians are not looking for an off-ramp. They're winning. We're looking for an off-ramp. Two, we are not in direct negotiations with the Iranians. The president is smoking dope. We are talking to intermediaries who are trying to make contact with Iran. But Iran is saying, we don't want to talk to the United States. And they've actually closed the book on that right now. So who is the president's negotiating with himself? I mean, this is literally a sign of insanity. And we need to start calling it out. This man is incapable of governing. He is clinically insane. He suffers from narcissistic personality disorder. And he should be removed from the equation.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, a super chat did ask you specifically a question. How does Scott process what he has participated in? What drives him to tell the truth? I'm sure you've answered this hundreds of times. So what drives you to tell the truth, Scott?
That's all I've ever known. I mean, people, they're like, well, you were a Marine. Why are you telling the truth? Because every aspect of my Marine Corps career was built around the premise of telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The job of an intelligence officer isn't to tell your boss what he or she wants to hear. It's to tell them the truth. We were told from the very beginning in intelligence school, if you lie, they die. Your job is to be assiduous with the facts. And that's, infantry people, they die charging hills. Intelligence people die defending the truth. During the Gulf War, I was fired twice and arrested once by General Schwarzkopf for telling the truth. In the end, he gave me a medal. But the thing is, you've got to be willing to do it. I mean, I told Schwarzkopf you didn't kill any Scuds when he went on national TV and said he killed 7. Said he didn't kill any. And that got pushed up to Colin Powell, who ended up saying Ritter's right. So I got my job back. And then I went off and did stuff with JSOC. And I was accused of starting my own war because I was telling JSOC, you're not killing Scuds. You're not anywhere close to where the Scuds are. You need to redirect over here. And General Downing, Wayne Downing, who was the commander of the JSOC task force, apparently went back to Schwarzkopf and said, who the hell is this guy you sent up to us? And Schwarzkopf said, arrest him. And they arrested me and they sent me back to Riyadh. They were going to court-martial me. I was standing in front of Brigadier General, the Marine Deputy Operations Officer, can't remember his name right now. But he, as they were getting ready to read me the charges, he said, why are you trying to do what you did? I said, because you told me to. You gave me that order. He said, we need no such thing. I said, absolutely you did, because there was a previous mission where I was supposed to go in with the SEALs to do something, and I got canceled the last second. I was sent up to Delta with that order still in place. So I said, you had already cleared me to do something. I was simply doing it. And while he was wrestling with that, the Scud alarm went off. And I said, I just want to remind you, we're not killing the Scuds. We're not doing what people say you want to do. Why don't you let me go do my job? And he released me. And so I was no longer under arrest. But the point is, we don't You got to tell the truth. I mean, I could have walked out of the Gulf War with a bigger medal, and I just played the game, and I just done what they did because they were willing to lie, man. Raytheon shot down all the Scuds. Didn't have to tell the truth. Delta Force killed 26 Scuds in the last day of the war. They handed out silver stars to guys for killing Scuds that didn't exist. I could have played that game and walked away with a nice gong, but that's not what the job is. And as a weapons inspector in Iraq, my job wasn't to lie, fabricate, and make the case for sustaining sanctions by promoting the notion that Saddam was not compliant. My job was to find the truth about what happened to the weapons of mass destruction. That was a very difficult job. Like I told you, the vast majority of my missions after 1995, we were going to be taken hostage. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't a game. I had pistols put to my head. I was told that my brains were going to decorate walls. We did this because the job was to find the truth. The whole truth is nothing but the truth. That's what it's all about. That's the only thing I've ever known. So that's what drives me. I mean, it's very simple.
Well, we appreciate it, and we appreciate your courageous stance and all that you do. We know, of course, you've suffered a lot for it. So I know that all of our viewers.
Yeah, I'm not suffering today. I'm good to go.
Not today, no.
No, of course you're good to go. There's nothing, But you bear it. You bear it. I think we all do. We all bear all of the consequences of standing up to the empire. That's just part of our work. That's what we do. So everybody's a lot of love in the chat for you as always. We hope you feel better. We hope you recover quick, and we hope you join us again very soon. We'd love to see you. I didn't get to see you when you were out here, but hope to see you when you're back here.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I mean, if you got 2 seconds, I'll just
take
give
your time.
I was just in Russia. I spent 10 days. When I first went in, the first job was it's proven. I went in to get Russia to intervene to bring an end to this war. I feel that strongly that Russia is the only nation that has the capacity to broker a deal, and I think the Russians are now moving in that direction. Not because of what I said, but my goal was to generate a discussion, a dialogue, a debate inside Russia. I did 2 events, one of which I put out on the Russia House, the Cigar Club event, which is a fascinating discussion with Dmitry Fursov, a noted historian, and Elena, and I can't pronounce her last name, so I won't, but it begins with a P. She's a professor of international relations at IMGIMO, which is the principal Foreign Service Institute for the Russian Foreign Ministry. And in that, we talked about not just nuclear anarchy, what the world is without arms control, but also what's happening in the Middle East. And I said, it's Russia's duty to involve. They're the only ones that can do this. And and what we started got me invited to the Presidential Academy, where I was able to make the pitch to some people. So I feel pretty good about that. It was always a crapshoot, going in, you don't know how it's going to be received. But the first part of the mission, I feel, was very successful in terms of generating that very dialogue. And again, I'm not taking any credit, but today the Russians are talking about the necessity of, Russian brokered mediation. And then I went to Chechnya, and I spent 5 days in Chechnya making a documentary film. And the 2 things about it, though, are, what I call the Chechen miracle, how the Chechens and the Russians came together after fighting 2 horrible wars, and they made peace. And Grozny in 2005 looked like Stalingrad. And today it is an amazing city, just totally rebuilt. And the Chechens and the Russians live together in peace and harmony. They are brothers. And you see that in the special military operation, but you also see it on the ground in Chechnya itself. And so one of the things I'm trying to do with this documentary is capture this. How did this happen? What was it that made this happen? So that maybe they can apply the lessons of Chechnya to Ukraine, post-conflict Ukraine, or Iran, post-conflict Iran. The other thing that I explored was the role that Islam plays in Chechnya. I was able to spend a lot of time with the Grand Mufti of Chechnya and talk about the role of Islam. And, Chechnya stands at the crossroads of, Eurasia, Russia, the Middle East, Central Asia. And there's a lot more influence than people might, again, most people are ignorant about Islam, but to talk about this. And, so I had very good interviews. We're going to be making a documentary film and all that. But I would just say if people want to know more, just go to, my Substack page and, Real Scott Ritter. It's free. You can subscribe if you want to, but you don't have to. And the other thing I would say is that trips like that only happen because of donations. I am a 100% independently funded independent journalist. I don't take money from anybody. And so for things like this to happen, they do require donations. So if people like what they're doing, please go to the Substack page and click the donation. I've got a big trip coming up in June going back, and a lot of great things planned. One of them could be even bigger than what I've already done, but it can't happen unless people are willing to step up and help. So I don't like doing fundraising, but that was my fundraising pitch.
Everybody, go
to Scott's Substack and subscribe.
And subscribe and donate, because we want to see you back out here. Are you going to come up for May 9th or not sure yet?
No. If I come, it'll be for St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. And
okay, for SPIEF. Perfect. Well, look forward to seeing you out here very soon. We miss you already.
Happy first Easter, and then have a happy second Easter too.
The real Easter. This is the
Western Easter.
Rehearsal. Yeah.
Rehearsal. That's right.
Your way. Yes. But thank you, Scott. We hope you feel better.
Great to see you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right. So something's going on with the Turk stream. We have to hear from.
Something is going on with the Turk stream.
What's going on with the Turk stream?
Well, there was explosives found at the near the pipeline, and it created a whole big kerfuffle with the Serbians and the Hungarians. In fact, Orban came out and said that Hungary will now be placing its military near the pipeline to protect the Hungarian portion of Turk stream. So
I think I have a clip of Orban. He's taking a break from cooking a ham. He's been cooking a ham for 12 hours. You guys should go check out that ham. It's very serious ham. And he teaches you how to make it. But here he is talking about the other most important thing, oil.
Véget a Védelmi Tanács ülése. A rendelkezésünkre álló információk alapján a Magyarországot ellátó török áramlat gázvezeték vajdasági szakaszán szabotázs akciót készítettek elő. Szerbia elnökével egyeztettem. Személyi sérülés nem történt, és a gázvezeték zavartalanul működik. Vučić elnöknek megköszöntem a szerb hatóságok munkáját, a szerbek a gázvezeték védelmét megerősítették. Ennek a vezetéknek a működése Magyarország számára létfontosságú. A magyar gázfogyasztás 60%-át ezen keresztül szerezzük be. Ezért elrendeltük a vezeték magyarországi szakaszának megerősített katonai ellenőrzését és védelmét.
So they'll be stationing troops there. Serbia found the bombs. But the interesting thing that I was looking at last night is that Europe isn't heavily reliant on the Hormuz for oil. So all of this energy, they are heavily reliant on it for LNG, but not for oil. Just something to keep in mind while they kind of put Europe on this idea that they're short on energy. Also, what do you think? Do you think of any credence to the rumors that Trump is in the hospital?
Trump in the I mean, it's possible. I mean, he's 80 plus.
He canceled 3 masses today, did not show up. Canceled all public appearances yesterday, put a lid on Friday night.
But posted about praise be to Allah today. Maybe
that felt like a Pete Hegseth tweet.
Really?
I think so. And he posted it about the third world last night, and that felt like a Stephen Miller tweet. If you import the third world, you become the third world. That's Stephen Miller talk right there. See, somebody says he went golfing. There's so much footage of him going golfing. I don't believe any time they tell me he's golfing and show me footage. There's so much footage of him going golfing, so don't buy that. And why doesn't he have the courtesy to address the American people? He's out golfing and skipping masses.
Come on.
I don't know. We might be in Hungary next weekend for elections.
We'll see.
Maybe we'll be guarding the pipeline. Oh God, where are you going now?
Well, I can't say, but there might be a big trip.
Oh, right. I think I know a hint. I think I know. Yes. I know. All right, we won't reveal. Well, we have super chats on this wonderful Easter.
We had a great showing today, I gotta say.
Oh my God. We hit 9,000 live on the YouTube, 10,000 live on the, now we're up to 13,000 live on the X.
It was like almost 15 on the X.
Thank you all like so much. It's the true Easter miracle. Well, the funny thing is that I sent them both messages.
That's real Easter. No, I'm just kidding.
I sent them both messages and I said, oh God, Scott answered first. I'll delete my message to Larry. And you know how on Telegram you can delete it for yourself or for both of you? Well, I only deleted it for myself. So Larry saw it and responded. And I said, okay, a mega show. This will be fun. And it was fun because we had a difference of opinion. I liked that.
I have to play this clip for us because it's so important. At this day, we have to play it. So hold on. I got to find it. I think it's the...
All right. Well, while you find it, I'll do a super chat.
Yes. Do a super chat. I'm going to find it.
To those risking their lives and their freedom to bring us the truth, we pray for your safety. Thank you, Michael. And again, I'll reiterate, I am near the Canadian border. So if anybody needs to get to Canada, I'm right near British Columbia. Let me know and we will help. Yes, no good on Easter week. Do you have your clip ready?
I'm putting it up here. Hold on. Here we go. I think it's here. I think this is the one. So let me take a look here. Oh, is that? Hold on.
Oh my God, he's hopeless. This comment, somebody said Jerusalem Post right about, and I got excited and I thought maybe it meant like Didi, like us. If we're ever in a Jewish or Israeli media, please let us know because that's like, I really am dying to be recognized by the ADL or by Jewish or Israeli media. We've already been recognized by American media. So we've asked, I think we asked him that. Did that get covered? If not, I'll send him a message and I'll ask again, or I'll make somebody else ask him. But
which question?
What was the American military intention to steal uranium? Yeah, I think we covered that.
He was in on that.
Do you have your clip?
Yes, but it's a bad clip. Hold on. I'm looking for a better quality one.
I'm having shirts made for my kiddos with Niayesh Salahi's name and an image. I think he means they share surnames and they generally know what happened to her at Minab. They wear them to school. They will wear them to school and tell her story. I think that's a fantastic idea. If you need any help getting them made, let me know.
I can find a good one, but we'll put it on our Telegram and we'll put it on Twitter. But it's the one of the Simpsons where it's Easter, but there's an Orthodox priest outside, and he has a sign that says it's our Palm Sunday. And for us, this is Palm Sunday. This is not Easter.
Right. This is
I had to put up there.
This is Leaster, right? And then you have Easter next week, Leaster. Thank you, Will, as always, and thanks for all your support. Yin Yang, keep up the good work, Didi. Praying for the Iranian people and Lebanese and Cuban and yeah, we have a lot of people to pray for against
for everybody at this point.
Criminal President Trump. Absolutely, it looks like Russia's going to continue to break that blockade or prove that it's non-existent. And Claudia Scheinbaum came out and said, "Well, if the Russians are ignoring it, we're ignoring it too." Moving on, so it looks like I know that Cuba's still in dire straits. But for right now, the paper tiger of the United States is being taken advantage of by both Russia and Mexico. So that's a good sign. Also, there's updates about Argentina and Venezuela, but they're on the big account. We won't go into them. What do you want to go into them?
Plan Andinia, was it?
Yeah, that I verified that too. That leaked report about the 300,000. I think it's just Israelis. I'm not sure that it's Jews. Israelis moving to Patagonia area. That's up on the big account with the other work that we did on that topic. Gray Zone has also done an excellent amount of work on that topic, as well as Data Urgente. That's obviously a South American. I believe he is Argentinian. I'm not 100%. It's either Chilean or Argentine, but Data, D-A-T-A, Urgente, urgent with an E at the end. Yeah. So that, guys, check that out. That stuff is crazy because Iran keeps saying we're going to wipe Israel off the map, and Israel saying, well, we've got another Israel on the map. So
we've got Patagonia, we've got Greece,
Kosovo,
we've got Cyprus, we've got Kosovo.
Even Taiwan will take them. South Korea will take them.
Oh my God. Zionism is going global.
Well, Zionism. Well, it is globalism. Free America from Zionists. Thanks, Didi. Yeah, we're trying. We're trying. It's a very slow work in progress. Sarah, storms are brewing in your eyes. Sarah, no, I'm guessing this is lyrics to a song.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, I'll look it up later. Maybe it's not of my generation. Trump had a private Easter service with Paula White this morning. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. Then we're really on the worst track. I hear the sound of the coming of the Lord. I hear the sound of victory. Angels are coming from South America. Angels are coming from Africa. I have some of it down. I'm working on my Paula White.
The angels are coming. I can hear them.
She's banging on the table.
I can hear them. And of course, I'm like, well, what is she doing here? She's like, the angels.
Ananda, Hanta, Banta, Anta. They're like, it's just sounds. Yeah.
So what is she up to? And these people get paid millions of dollars. I'm
millions.
Like, damn, I went to the wrong career.
She put out a message today and said the best way for you all to celebrate Easter is to give me more money. I'm sorry. We don't usually speak in tongues on DD Geopolitics. Sorry, guys.
The best way to celebrate Easter, at least Catholic and Protestant Easter, is to give DD Geopolitics money.
No, don't give us money on Easter. The best way to celebrate is to go to church and eat some Ordbond ham. Okay? And you guys, we will try to find. We will not sing the Haba Nagila this time. That we save that for special occasions. We will see you guys on Wednesday. Chris has his guest. Are you live tomorrow? But I know you have a good live on Tuesday planned.
Yeah, so I'm going to be live on Tuesday on my show with Dimitri Lascaris. Tomorrow, hopefully, I'll bring on Jackson to talk about China. We just got back from China, so
I think Jackson is live right now too. If you guys want to hop over there afterwards.
Yes, if Jackson's live, go check it out. And a lot of good things are happening. And get ready. The next few weeks are going to be.
They're going to be insane. Lit. Yeah. Possibly Hungary, and then a secret location next week. And we will leave you guys with the IRGC statement for the most recent IRG statement. And other than that, we hope you guys have a fabulous, holy, and very reflective Easter Sunday in preparation for the next Easter Sunday of next weekend. Thank you guys again, and we will see you all very soon.
Lots of love.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. انا فتحنا لك فتحا مبینا. به دنبال تلاش‌های مذبوحانه ارتش تروریستی آمریکا به منظور عملیات امداد و نجات خلبان جنگنده ساقط شده خود، تعدادی از هواگردهای دشمن در بامداد 16 فروردین 1405 وارد کشور عزیزمان ایران شدند. با یاری و نصرت الهی، با هوشیاری و آمادگی رزمندگان اسلام در نیروهای مسلح، با بهره‌گیری از جنگ الکترونیک، سامانه‌های نوین پدافند هوایی، اجرای طرح دفاع موزاییکی زمینی و ایجاد حصار نظامی و امنیتی، تعدادی از این هواگردها شامل 2 فروند هواپیمای ترابری نظامی C-130 و 2 فروند بالگرد بلک هاک مورد اصابت قرار گرفته و مجبور به فرود اضطراری در یکی از مناطق جنوب اصفهان شدند. پس از تکمیل عملیات محاصره دشمن توسط رزمندگان قهرمان ایران اسلامی، دشمن زبون به منظور جلوگیری از بی‌آبرویی ترامپ، رئیس جمهور آمریکا و هیمنه پوشالی ارتش خود مجبور به بمباران شدید هواگردهای ساقط شده، تجهیزات و فرماندهان و سربازان خود شدند. رئیس جمهور نادان و گرفتار در باطلاق جنگ و تجاوزی که آغازگر آن بود و ژنرال‌های بی‌هنر و بزدل ارتش تروریستی و شکست خورده آمریکا به خوبی دریافتند که هر گونه تجاوز و عملیات زمینی و نفوذ در هر نقطه از ایران سربلند و دشمن شکن با قدرت جنود الهی و مشت پولادین رزمندگان در نیروهای مسلح، بسیج قهرمان و ملت شجاع و دلاور این مرز و بوم با شکست قاطع و مفتضحانه روبرو خواهد شد. بی‌آبرویی رئیس جمهور گرفتار و ارتش شکست خورده آمریکا با لفاظی، جنگ رسانه‌ای و عملیات روانی قابل ترمیم نخواهد بود. شکی نیست که همه این پیروزی‌ها و دستاوردهای ایران پر افتخار در سایه عنایت خاصه و الطاف ویژه خداوند متعال بوده و یقین داریم که وعده الهی در پیروزی نهایی جبهه حق بر باطل محقق خواهد شد و من نصر الا من عند الله العزیز الحکیم.